You'd think being beautiful would make life easier, right? Not for Isabela. In fact, her beauty became her biggest curse. From whispers in the hallway to online hate she never asked for. What happened to her might just change the way you see people forever. Watch until the end. Because her final moment on stage left an entire school speechless. And let us know in the comments. Do you think beauty is a blessing or a burden? Don't forget to like the video if her story moved you. The morning sunlight filtered through the tree leaves, creating patterns of light on Isabela's path as she walked toward her new school. At 16, Isabela possessed the kind of beauty that made an immediate impact. Dark, silky hair that fell in perfect waves over her shoulders, expressive eyes that seemed to change color with the light, and delicate features that harmonized in a face of almost mathematical proportions. She wore simple clothes, jeans, a white blouse, and a light jacket, but somehow they looked elegant on her slender frame. Around her neck, a discreet necklace with a small pendant, inherited from her grandmother, swayed gently as she walked. They always told me I was beautiful, Isabela thought. But no one ever asked how I felt. As she approached the school gates, Isabela took a deep breath and touched the pendant on her necklace, seeking courage. No matter how many times her family moved, no matter how many new schools she entered, the ritual was always the same. She arrived, people stared, and her beauty immediately erected an invisible barrier between her and others. When Isabela finally crossed the school courtyard, the reactions were instant and predictable. Conversations ceased mid-sentence. Heads turned. A boy dropped his books on the floor. A girl nudged her friend and whispered behind her hand. "Is she a model or something?" asked a girl, not bothering to lower her voice. "Dude, I saw her first," a boy said to his friend, as if Isabela were an object to be claimed. Isabela noticed the stares, but kept her eyes fixed ahead, clutching her books to her chest as she moved through the crowd. Phones discreetly rose to capture her image. She already knew that. Within minutes, her photo would be circulating in the school's messaging groups. It was always the same. First came the stares, then the whispers, then the judgments. In the hallways, Isabela stopped in front of her assigned locker. More glances, more whispers followed her. She tried to smile politely at some people, but they quickly looked away or smiled back with excessive enthusiasm. Isabela opened her locker and glimpsed her reflection in the small internal mirror. For a moment, her smile faltered. A smile that had become a mask, beauty that had turned into a wall. The literature teacher, Ms. Rivera, a woman in her 40s with a perceptive gaze and energetic attitude, introduced Isabela to the class. "Class, this is Isabela Martins. She's joining us from São Paulo. Please make her feel welcome." Isabela smiled shyly at the class, aware of the stares fixed on every detail of her appearance. "You can take the empty seat by the window," Ms. Rivera indicated. As she walked to her place, Isabela passed a group of well-dressed, confident girls. Carolina, clearly the leader, watched her with narrowed eyes. She had perfectly arranged blonde hair and wore brand-name clothes that screamed status and popularity. Her look at Isabela wasn't one of welcome, but of calculated assessment, the kind of look that measured a potential threat. Later during class, Ms. Rivera returned graded papers. She stopped at Isabela's desk with an approving smile. "Excellent work, Isabela. Your analysis shows real depth of thought. The rest of you could learn from her example." The compliment, though well-intentioned, fell like a stone in troubled waters. Carolina and her friends exchanged meaningful glances. Isabela shrank in her seat, uncomfortable with the attention. She had experienced this before, teachers too impressed, too quickly, creating resentment among classmates. At lunchtime, Isabela sat alone with her tray. She observed a table with some friendly-looking students and gathered her courage. She approached the table, tray in hand. "Excuse me, would it be okay if I sit here?" Isabela asked, her soft voice revealing a slight accent. The students looked up surprised. A moment of awkward silence hung in the air. They were kind of saving these seats. "Sorry," one replied, avoiding her gaze. The seats around them were clearly empty, with no signs of other occupants to come. Isabela nodded politely and walked away. As she left, she heard Carolina's voice from a nearby table. She thinks she's all that just because she's pretty. Like that's enough to make everyone worship her. Laughter followed the cruel comment. Isabela pretended not to hear, finding an isolated place to eat. During study period that afternoon, Isabela checked her phone in the computer lab. Her expression changed to shock and pain when she saw what appeared on the screen. A fake profile on a social network was using her. Photos, probably those taken secretly earlier. The username read, "Too beautiful to be real." The bio mockingly stated, "I'm perfect in every way. Worship me or stay away." The comments below were cruel jokes and memes. Isabela saw that Carolina and her friends had shared the profile, adding their own deprecating comments. Slowly, she put her phone back in her bag, trying to maintain composure as tears formed in her eyes. The pain was familiar but no less intense because of it. Leaning against the sink in the school bathroom, Isabela let tears flow freely as she tried to catch her breath. When the bathroom door opened, she quickly hid in one of the stalls. Through the crack in the door, she saw Carolina and her friends enter, laughing. "Did you see her face when she checked her phone?" "Priceless," Carolina boasted. One of the friends, apparently with some remorse, asked, "Don't you think that was a little too cruel?" Carolina rolled her eyes, applying lipstick in front of the mirror. Please, girls like her coast through life on their looks. She's probably never had to work for anything. After they left, Isabela remained in the stall, silently crying. Carolina's words echoed in her mind, not because they were true, but because they reflected what almost everyone thought when they saw her. No one ever imagined her internal struggles, her insecurities, her desperate desire for genuine connections. That night, Isabela sat on her bed, surrounded by moving boxes still unpacked. Her mother, Elena, a woman in her 40s, as beautiful and elegant as her daughter, entered the room. "You barely touched your dinner, querida. Is everything okay at the new school?" Elena asked, sitting next to her daughter. Isabela hesitated, considering how much she should reveal. Her mother had always been loving, but rarely truly understood her problems with beauty. For Elena, who had grown up in very different circumstances, beauty was only a blessing. "Mom, do you think I'm too pretty?" Isabela finally asked. Elena laughed lightly, stroking her daughter's hair. "Too pretty? What a question. You're beautiful, my daughter. You should be proud of that." "My beauty pushes people away," Isabela retorted, her voice low but intense. "It's like they decide who I am before they even know me." Elena looked confused, unable to see beyond her own perspective. "People are just intimidated by what's special, Isabela. They'll get over it." Isabela looked away, realizing her mother didn't understand. How could she? Elena's life had been different. Her beauty had come with age and enough confidence to manage it. In her mind, Isabela relived flashes of exclusion throughout the years. At 7, girls whispering at a birthday party while she sat alone. Her dress too pretty, her face too perfect to be invited to join their games. At 10, a teacher accusing her of getting help on a perfect test, unable to believe that someone so beautiful could also be so intelligent. At 13, a boy asking her out while his friends laughed and recorded video, turning her into the object of a cruel bet. Back to the present, Isabela faced her mother with tired eyes. "It's been like this everywhere we've moved. I'm tired of being alone." Elena hugged her. Though her expression showed she didn't fully understand her daughter's pain. "Things will get better, I promise. You'll find your place." Isabela nodded but didn't believe it. Years of experience had taught otherwise. The next day, Isabela sat alone in a corner of the library, immersed in a book, her usual refuge. Lucas, a 16-year-old boy with glasses, thoughtful eyes, and a neat but unremarkable appearance, approached cautiously. "Hi, Isabela, right?" he asked, holding some books against his chest. She looked up, her expression guarded. After years of being approached by strangers, she had developed a natural protective shield. "Yes, I'm Lucas. We're together in literature class." There was an awkward pause. Lucas wasn't like the other boys who approached her there. Wasn't that forced confidence, no obvious attempt to impress. Instead, he simply observed her with genuine curiosity. "You look sad," he finally said. Isabela was surprised by his frankness. No one had ever ignored her appearance to notice her emotional state before. "I'm fine," she replied automatically. "Sorry, I shouldn't have said that." Lucas seemed sincerely regretful. "I just know what it's like to feel invisible." Isabela studied him, seeing something in his eyes that resonated with her despite their seemingly opposite experiences. "I don't feel invisible," she admitted. "I feel too visible, but for all the wrong reasons." Lucas sat across from her, placing his books on the table. "That's really interesting. I never thought about it that way." In literature class that day, Ms. Rivera addressed the class enthusiastically about the upcoming project. For our unit on personal narratives, you'll be working in pairs to create a presentation. Your partner is your advisor, not your co-presenter. Each of you will give your own individual presentation, but you'll help each other develop it. She assigned the pairs, and Isabela was paired with Lucas. Carolina gave her a disdainful look, clearly considering Lucas too insignificant to be envied. Later that day, Isabela and Lucas sat on a bench in the school courtyard, notebooks open between them. "So what do you want to present about?" Lucas asked, pen hovering over the paper. Isabela hesitated, uncertain. "I don't know. Something safe, I guess." "Safe is boring," he smiled, a sincere smile that lit up his ordinary face. "What's something real? Something that matters to you?" Isabela considered the question, surprised by its depth. Rarely did someone ask her what mattered to her. "No one really knows me," she finally said. "They see what they want to see. Then tell them who you are," Lucas suggested, as if it were that simple. "I wouldn't know where to start." "Start with what hurts," he said, his gaze meeting hers. "That's usually where the truth is." Isabela watched him, really seeing him for the first time. Not as the ordinary boy everyone ignored, but as someone with depth and perception. "What about you?" she asked. "What hurts for you?" Lucas was silent for a moment, considering. "Being overlooked," he finally replied. "Being the footnote in everyone else's story." They shared a look of mutual understanding. Two extremes of the same spectrum of invisibility, one seen too much but never truly seen. The other rarely noticed, though wishing to be recognized. "Maybe that's your presentation," Lucas suggested. "The prison of other people's perceptions." Isabela nodded slowly, an idea beginning to form. On presentation day, the small school auditorium was filled with students and a few teachers. One by one, the students took the stage to share their personal narratives. Carolina finished a polished but superficial presentation about overcoming challenges. Actually, a story about how she had secured the lead role in the school play the previous year, receiving polite applause. "Thank you, Carolina," said Ms. Rivera. "Next up is Isabela." Isabela walked to the center of the stage, visibly nervous. She looked at the audience, catching Lucas's encouraging nod from the third row. He smiled, giving her a small thumbs up. She took a deep breath, adjusting the microphone. "My presentation is called Too Beautiful." Some giggles from Carolina's group could be heard. Isabela hesitated, then continued with, "Growing confidence. I was 5 years old when I first heard someone call me beautiful. It was a gift wrapped in smiles and admiration. By 10, that gift had become a burden. By 15, a prison." The audience quieted, drawn in by her raw honesty. Beauty isn't just in the eye of the beholder. It's in their expectations, their assumptions, their fears. People see my face and decide they know my story. She looked directly at Carolina, without accusation, only truth. "They think I've never felt pain, never been rejected, never had to work for anything. They create a character and force me to play the part." Her voice became stronger, more assured. "But here's the truth, I'm terrified of public speaking. I cry when I'm alone. I spend hours questioning every interaction, wondering if anyone will ever see beyond my appearance to who I really am." She touched the necklace at her throat, the pendant gleaming under the stage lights. "This necklace was my grandmother's. She told me that true beauty is how you make others feel about themselves. I've failed at that because I've been too afraid to be authentic with people." Her eyes scanned the audience, finding faces that had judged her, ignored her, envied her. So this is me being authentic. I'm not just a pretty face. I'm a person with dreams, fears, and flaws. I want friends who tease me and tell me the truth. I want to be known, not just seen. She glanced briefly at Lucas, whose eyes were fixed on her with admiration and respect. Because being beautiful was never the problem. The problem was thinking that's all I was and letting everyone else think so too. Silence filled the auditorium when she finished. Then slowly applause began to emerge, growing in intensity. Even Ms. Rivera appeared moved, discreetly wiping away a tear. After the presentations, Isabela sat on a bench in the school courtyard, processing the experience. Some students approached her. "Your presentation was really good," said a girl who had never spoken to her before. "Yeah, I guess I never thought about it that way," added another student. They chatted briefly and then walked away. It wasn't full acceptance, but it was a start, an opening where before there had only been a wall. Carolina passed by with her friends. She and Isabela exchanged glances. To Isabella's surprise, it was Carolina who looked away first, something like reluctant respect in her expression. Lucas joined Isabela on the bench, holding his book-filled backpack. "You were amazing up there," he said. "I was terrified," Isabela confessed. "That's what made it real." Isabela smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes for the first time in a long while. "Thank you for seeing me, the real me." "It's not hard when you let people look," Lucas replied. They sat in comfortable silence as other students moved around them. For the first time since she'd arrived at the new school, perhaps for the first time in years, Isabela felt like she belonged, not as a painting to be admired from a distance, but as a real person with dimensions and depth. Later, as she left school, Isabela noticed fewer stares following her now. Or perhaps they were. Different stares, not of judgment or envy, but of recognition. The afternoon sun bathed her face. As she walked, the weight on her shoulders somewhat lighter. They always told me I was beautiful, Isabela thought. But now they're starting to ask how I feel, and I'm ready to tell them. With her face turned toward the sun, Isabela walked home, not as an object of beauty, but as a complete person, imperfect, complex, and finally free to be seen for who she truly was. So that was the video. Subscribe to the channel, like the video and share the video with someone else. Until the next video,